Hello, this is Mikey with another After Effects tutorial, and I want to do some text experiments today. So this is some effects that I've applied to just a text layer, and it's updatable, where I can update the text. It's all live, and it automatically creates all of this multiple colored strokes around it. Really cool. So let me show you how to make that. We're going to start with a new composition. Text. All right, there we go. Let's add to it just a solid background. All this doesn't really matter. Hello. Perfect. Now let me make sure that's centered. Maybe let's have a bigger text. Okay. So now things that we need to make sure are on is first, this right here where it says stroke, that needs to be checked. Make sure that's checked on. And then here, where you're doing your line spacing, we'll set that on auto to begin with, but it's going to need to be 0 eventually. But I'll have it on auto now just so we can see what's going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some expressions to duplicate this word several times, and each time it duplicates, I'm going to change the stroke width and the stroke color so that it creates that effect. We can even actually add to this an expression control slider to make it so we can choose how many duplicates we have. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is in the text source text, I'm going to option or click on the stopwatch and create a variable called st for source text equals, and I'm going to just pick whip that source text. End with a semicolon and then do st.repeat. And in there, let's just, for fun, let's just put 3. And you can see it's repeating it one after another. Instead of 3, I'm going to pick whip that slider control that we just created. And now, 1, 2, it repeats it. Now, but we want it to repeat in a line, so not just each word. So we need to, into this variable, add a line break as well. So we have the source text, and then we need a line break. So we're going to do plus, and in parentheses, do \r, just lowercase r. And that's the code for After Effects expressions to do a line break. Now we have it as a line break. So it's adding that text and a line break, and then it's repeating it every time. So let's make that a smaller amount of line spacing, and you can see it just now copying that down. Really cool. Okay, and now to this multiple copies, we're going to be using an expression selector. So we want stroke width, and to that we also want stroke color. Let's just do hue. Now as we zoom in, we see it's not doing much, right? It's all just the same width, same color. But we have this normal range selector, but what I want to add to this is the expression selector. And instantly you can see that it's changing the stroke width, right? Thick to thin. And if we change the hue, you can see it's changing that too. Starting to look psychedelic a little bit. Now, things that we can do, we're going to take away that range selector. So we just have the expression selector. We don't need it. And then I want it to be based on lines instead of characters, so that each word or each line has the same thickness and same color. Now inside of this expression selector, there's you can see in the amount there's an expression: selector value times text index divided by text total. So the text index is what you're on, right? So since it's based on lines, it's what line you're on, right? And so there's 4 of them. So the text total would be 4. The text index would be, are you on the first one, the second one, the third one, or whatever. And then the selector value just times that. So that's just telling it to apply that to what you're doing. And so what that does is it makes this kind of this ramp effect where it's changing this hue value and the width based off of this expression. But unfortunately, you can see that it's going the wrong way, where it starts, the bottom one is the thinner one and the top one is the thicker one. I want that reversed so that the thicker ones will show underneath. So in order to do that, we need to adjust this expression. So right now, we have the start is your text index, but I wanted to go backwards. So I'm going to put this in parentheses, just this part where it says text index. Make sure you put the parenthesis just around text index, still have that divide sign there. And inside that, I'm going to write text total minus text index. And make sure you use the same capitalization. And what that does is it's going to inverse it. It's going to go from the text total and then go backwards. Instead of starting at 1 and going to 10, it's going to start at 10 and go down to 1. It just reverses it. And so now what we have is, let's bring the line spacing back down to 0. You can see we have multiple colors. So for each index, you have 4 of them. We have 4 colors, 1, 2, 3, 4. Unfortunately, though, we have the stroke is going on top of the fill. So let's go in and change that. So if we go into more options right here, we have this fill and stroke. Let's make sure that all fills are over strokes. And then so we have the white text on the inside and each of the strokes on the outside. And if we want to adjust the stroke width, we do that here. We can actually make another slider. So let's just call this width, and I'm going to connect right there. And then this is how many. Let's go 100. 100's a lot. Let's go 50. So something that I'm actually going to take off that width slider because it kind of needs to be based on how many copies you have. So what I'm going to do is inside of there, I'm going to pick whip that first slider that creates the copies, and let's just say times 10. And so that's going to make each of these things 10 pixels, right? So as I increase them, you can see that it's increasing them 10 pixels each time, so it stays even. Another issue, though, is that the more you do that, it's going to create this color gradient, have it a little more refined. So I'm going to take this hue and I'm going to crank this up, right? So that it's way up, and so it's got all these random colors. So then just experiment with some of these controls. Like I can animate the stroke hue, and you can see it's doing this cool light effect. I can animate that. I can maybe instead of times 10 times that by a slider. So I can animate that. There's lots you can be doing to this. Some fun stuff is right now I've got it based on lines, but if I go back and change it to characters, you can see it's got this cool effect where they kind of overlap in a weird way. So it's pretty powerful. There's a lot you can do. And again, it's just all based off of multiplying the text and changing the color and the size of the stroke. And again, it's all dynamic. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned some stuff. This was a pretty quick one, so there you go. See you next time.